Your life is a finite collection of hours, days, and years, and the people you choose to spend this time with are the architects of your future. We often hear that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, but we rarely discuss the subtraction required to get that average right. There comes a time when addition is not the answer to a better life, but rather subtraction. It is about pruning the dead leaves to let the tree grow. Today, we are going to walk through the 7 specific types of people you must quietly remove from your life. Notice the emphasis on the word quietly. You do not need a dramatic exit, a final argument, or a public declaration. You simply need to fade them out for the sake of your own sanity and progress. The first person you need to distance yourself from is the chronic victim. This is not someone who is going through a tough time and needs a shoulder to cry on, because we all have those moments, and supporting a friend is a virtue. The chronic victim is different because for them, suffering is a personality trait. They believe the world is perpetually against them, and no matter what solution you offer, they will find a new problem for it. You recall the times you spent hours giving them advice, researching solutions for their issues, and offering a helping hand, only for them to ignore everything and return to complaining the next day. This happens because they do not actually want a solution. They want attention and validation for their misery. If you stay too close to the chronic victim, you will find your own energy depleted. You will start to feel guilty for your own successes because they will make you feel as if your happiness is a direct insult to their suffering. Quietly cutting them off means you stop offering solutions and you stop engaging in their circular narratives of doom. You protect your empathy for those who actually use it to heal. The second type of person is the subtle, undermining critic. This character is dangerous because they often masquerade as a friend who is just being honest. They use phrases like, "I'm just playing devil's advocate," or "I am only telling you this for your own good," but their intent is to sow doubt in your mind. When you share a new idea, a goal, or a triumph, they are the first to point out the potential flaws or remind you of your past failures. They operate from a place of insecurity. If you rise, they feel they are falling, so they try to keep you tethered to the ground. You can identify them by how you feel after sharing good news with them. If you leave the conversation feeling deflated rather than celebrated, you are dealing with an underminer. In the grand narrative of your life, you need supporters who challenge you to be better, not critics who are terrified of your potential. You cut them off by simply stopping the flow of information. You stop sharing your dreams with them. You talk about the weather, the news, or generic topics, but you keep your gold locked away from their rusty touch. Third on the list is the manipulator. The manipulator is a master of disguise and emotional intelligence, but they use these skills for selfish gain. They are the puppeteers of the social world. They often start by being incredibly charming and attentive, drawing you in until you trust them completely. Once they have your trust, the dynamic shifts. You will notice that everything is on their terms. They use guilt, gaslighting, and passive-aggressive behavior to get what they want. If you ever try to set a boundary, they will twist the narrative to make you look like the bad guy. They are experts at rewriting history to suit their needs. In many stories and real-life scenarios, the manipulator is the character who isolates the protagonist from their allies. They want you all to themselves so they can control your perception of reality. Removing them is tricky because they will fight to keep their control. The key is the quiet fade. You become boring. You become unavailable. You do not react to their provocations. When they realize they can no longer pull your strings, they will move on to a new puppet. The fourth person is the energy vampire. Unlike the chronic victim who drains you with complaints, the energy vampire drains you simply by being present. These people often require high maintenance and constant reassurance. They need to be the center of every room and the topic of every conversation. When you are with them, you feel like you are working a second job. They dominate the conversation, interrupt frequently, and show little interest in your life. unless it relates to them. You might notice that after hanging out with them, you feel physically exhausted, perhaps even developing a headache or needing a nap. This is your body telling you what your mind has not yet accepted. They are consuming your vitality. You must understand that your energy is a currency, and you cannot afford to spend it on a black hole that gives nothing back. To cut them off, you simply stop making yourself available. You increase the time between responses and decline invitations without offering detailed excuses. You reclaim your time for people who recharge you. Fifth is the gossip monger. It is easy to be entertained by someone who has all the latest dirt on everyone else. It can feel like you are part of an exclusive club where you share secrets. However, there is a universal truth you must accept. If they are gossiping to you, they are gossiping about you. The gossip monger has no concept of loyalty or privacy. They use information as social currency to buy attention. Nothing you tell them is safe. By keeping them close, you are essentially broadcasting your private life to the world. Furthermore, surrounding yourself with constant judgment of others poisons your own mindset. It trains you to look for flaws and failures in people rather than their virtues. Quietly cutting them off involves becoming a gray rock. When they try to share gossip, you show no reaction. You give boring responses. When you stop feeding the fire with your interests, they will take their stories elsewhere. The sixth person to remove is the anchor to your past. This is often an old friend or an acquaintance who refuses to let you grow. They are stuck in a previous version of who you were, perhaps the version of you from high school or a turbulent time in your early 20s. Every time you try to improve, adopt new habits, or change your lifestyle, they mock you. They say things like, "You've changed," or "You think you're better than us now." They are comfortable with your old self because it fits into their current worldview. Your growth shines a light on their stagnation, and that is uncomfortable for them. In literature, this is the character who tries to pull the hero back to the ordinary world when the adventure calls. But you cannot drive forward while looking in the rearview mirror. You do not have to have a big breakup with the anchor. You simply continue on your path. As you grow, the distance will naturally widen until they are just a speck on the horizon. Finally, the seventh person is the fair-weather friend. This person is always present when the sun is shining, the party is hopping, and you are paying for the drinks. They love your success, your boat, your beach house, or your connections. But the moment a storm hits, when you lose your job, go through a breakup, or face a health crisis, they vanish into thin air. Their phone goes to voicemail and they are suddenly too busy to meet. Their friendship is transactional, based entirely on what you can provide for them in the moment. This is painful to realize because you often have great memories of fun times with them. But fun is cheap. Loyalty is expensive. You need people who will stand in the mud with you, not just sit by the pool. To remove them, you do not need to do much. When you stop providing the entertainment or the benefits, they will likely leave on their own. Let them go. Do not chase them. Removing these 7 types of people is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-preservation. It is about clearing the weeds from your garden so the flowers can bloom. It is about recognizing that your time and energy are limited resources that must be invested wisely. The quiet part of this process is essential. It signifies that you are secure in your decision. You do not need to explain it, defend it, or argue about it. You just execute it. As you slowly withdraw your energy from these relationships, you will find a newfound sense of peace and clarity. You will have more room for the people who truly love, support, and inspire you. So, take a look at your circle today. Who leaves you feeling drained? Who doubts your potential? Who is only there for the good times? Identify them and begin the quiet process of detachment. Your future self will thank you for the peace you are creating today. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to learn more about mastering your psychology and social environment, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are building a community of high-value individuals here. Share this with a friend who needs to hear this truth today. And I have a question for you. Which of these 7 types have you encountered the most in your life, and how did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one.